So, as you mentioned at the beginning, you work with your brother, and I know it's not like you have a long history of a usual way of working, but I know that you chose to do things sort of differently with this film than you did with Strange Little Cat. So, can you talk a little bit about, how things were different with this film and why?
Yes, it was different. Actually, The Strange Little Cat, we made when we were still students at the Film Academy. So I was a producer student and Ramon a direction student. And actually we did have to keep these roles in order to get accepted or credited by the school. So I was like the producer of this film, and Ramon, he did write the script and also direct the film. And then later here with The Girl and the Spider, it was that I started to write the script on my own, while Ramon, he already started like the third film, The Sparrow in the Chimney. And then he, like in the second period, started to co-write. So this was one difference too, because The Strange Little Cat has only been written by Ramon, but here it was like a co-writing. And later, during the shooting, it was actually Ramon directing the actors. It was always him talking to the actors, and it was clear that I'm not interfering, or it was very clear like who talks, for example, to the artistic departments. And it was rather that I've been there with a second pair of eyes and ears, and then I just feedback to Ramon if I think that the rhythm is on point or not. It was in a way this kind of co-directing or specific artistic decisions about like the set design or the costume or the music. These decisions were made by the two of us.
So, I mean, one of the things I love about the movie is that there are so many things going on so many different levels. And I'm wondering, when it came time, when you started to write this script, sort of, I guess it's a which came first, the chicken or the egg question, because you have some very formal sort of limitations that you put on yourself, and then you have what you want the movie to be about, and I'm wondering, which did you start with?
Actually, it was at the very beginning, I didn't know the theme or the topic already. It was rather that I do have like a notebook, and there I write down kind of everyday pearls, things I find marvelous just in my everyday life, that I find remarkable, even though it's maybe not very stunning on a first glance, but something that moves me in a way. And so I do have like this collection of pearls. It's not always observations, sometimes it's things friends of mine tell me, or also inventions, but then I've been just collecting or adding material, not knowing where it's gonna end or where it's gonna lead me to. And then it was also a period when, because Ramon and me, we first lived together, and as we are twin brothers, it became a bit symbiotic. So Ramon, he told that he wants to move to an own apartment, and this broke up this symbiotic relation, and then this in a way helped to find the topic or the themes. So actually, first it wasn't that first there has been a theme, and then the scenes or the material has to fit the theme, but it was kind of material I could sculpture while finding the theme and topic.
And I guess I'm asking it also at what point the idea of, how many locations you would be in. I think there's also a very formal structure that has to do with this film and the trilogy. If you could talk a little bit about that also.
Yeah, because also when working on this strange little cat, sometimes it felt as if we were like scientists having a laboratory with specific elements we're working with. Like there's animals, there's dialogues, there's a certain amount of actors, and there's this very space, this apartment. And there's many things we didn't allow ourselves to do, like moving the camera or using music during a scene to dramatize this scene, but only like in between scenes to structure it. And when starting to work on The Girl and the Spider, we just felt like broadening, or like making this range of elements we're working with broader, but still we didn't want to have an anything goes mood or policy. So we just wondered about working with 2 days instead of one, and with not one apartment, but like 2 buildings with several apartments, and then to kind of weave together these different apartments and the abysses behind these walls and closed doors. And so, but still it felt a bit like scientists working with these kind of Lego things also a bit.
I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about, I guess I'll call it the point of view of the film, because it's very interesting to see how people have reacted to it. I think I read someone who said it was like he was watching what was going on through the window of an opposing apartment, and I thought, or it could be from an animal's point of view. I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about sort of the point of view of the film.
Actually, we like it as we like the idea of like as if an alien would just land on Earth and being set in the middle of a specific scenario, and it's the way we also kind of relate ourselves to this story, because often in classic storytelling, at the beginning you get established, you know how people are related to one another, and also about the filmic space, which we find it interesting that like the spectators and the audience lands in this set, in this scenario, or in this situation, and that they, like detectives, have to figure out how the characters are related to one another and what's the plot, that it's not all preconceived from the very beginning already, but that one has to kind of observe closely to then get to know what's behind the relations. And that's like maybe the point of view, or the perspective. To us it was very close to Mara, the one that stays behind, not the one that moves up, but the one that stays behind. And that's also why we very early have been interested in a certain destruction, that like this cosmos has been like that there's it's about destruction, about things breaking apart, like the skin, but also relationships. And so it was like Mara that for us did drive the tone and the storytelling in a way.
I love that in both of the movies there are sort of little private moments of cruelty that you see exhibited. is there anything you can say about why you like to use those little moments to reveal a little bit more about various characters?
I think maybe it's also a personal taste of both of us, of Ramon and me. We like when films, but also people aren't that predictable, when there's certain surprises that, for example, people or characters aren't just darlings, but can be very cruel, like also. And we also like these kind of borderline dispositions. For example, like the colors are very bright, as if it were a comedy or something light, but still it's rather dramatic than comic, and as if it looks like a darling, but then it turns out that it's a monster. Or also the music, like there's this classic waltz, the Belarusian waltz, that's rather high culture in a way, and also the 80s pop song. So we like to contrast, and also in the story and the character design, that we do like to also design like passive aggressive dialects. For example, we do find it interesting. We have something that it appeals us a lot, like also to show these kind of things that are very much in human relationships.
Can you comment on whether it seems like the men were all stable and the women were unstable?
Actually, it seems that the men aren't, they're not really unstable, but maybe Jan, the character, the young boy, he gets unstable, being kind of pushed away by Mara, but it's often a question why people feel that like female characters are treated in a different way than male characters, that male characters are usually a bit like less interesting in The Strange Little Cat and in The Girl and the Spider, but we find it difficult to explain why it's like this, but I actually find it this way too. The female characters are they do have much more profundity, and the male characters tend to be kind of passers-by of the film, more or less, but actually there's no concept behind, and it's not that we wanted it to be like this in the first place, but it turned out to be.
Thank you. Yeah, talk a little bit more about the color in the film.
It's mostly Ramon. He does like bright colors, like bright yellow, bright blue, bright red, and often in European art house cinema, there's like rather dull colors, like grayish or brownish and saddish, sadness in a way. But it's kind of also a personal taste of the two of us, but maybe a bit more of Ramon's, that he just like these bright colors. But for us, it's not we didn't use them in a psychological way. It's not that, and neither in a symbolic way. It's not that yellow to us symbols something specific, but it's just a way to kind of, as I said, to create it light visually, but then to contrast it by dramatic or passive-aggressive things, to have like this tension. What we did is to kind of have, for example, one room more a red room, another room more a yellow room, and actually the friend of Mara, Lisa. She has this yellow t-shirt, and the bit it was also because for Mara, Lisa is kind of the center of this cosmos, as if she were her son. So there were these kind of intuitive things, but otherwise it's not like in a psychological way we did use the colors.
Can you talk a little bit about the moments that, I guess I'll call them, that take place that aren't in the room, which are sort of the legend, the maid at sea, and the things that take you a little bit out of that structure, the confinement of the structure that you first created?
Just how I said at the beginning that we had a lot of material like pearls, and not all these pearls stayed in this script, but we also said goodbye to a lot of them. But for example, the chambermaid story very early was in a central part of the script, and what we like about it is that to us, like Mara's desire for freedom is very much incorporated also by this story. That this chambermaid, once she lived in the room of Lisa, she left the piano back, and that's why we also like to have variations of the voyage theme played by a piano. And to us, her being floating on the ocean in a boat is as if she went away to have a freedom, but in a way a very relative freedom, because she's still encapsulated in a metallic box floating on the ocean. But for us it's like, in a way, related to Mara's desire for another life, that she wishes to have like another life or a freer setup of her life.
Okay, we'll take one last question right there. Mara says that she's a liar, but in another way, she is the person who's revealing the truth about a lot of aspects of what's going on. So if you could talk a little bit about that contradiction of those two things. Is that a...
Yes.
Actually, I've never seen it that way, but it's interesting to us, because we're also often playful with words or with language, and this thing or this dialogue when she says I'm a liar, in a way it was just a playful, we were like playing with words, but as she really is a liar, she also lies during the disco scene. She's also lying to Kerstin when she says that Marcus also is moving out. So it's also part of her destructive traits in this universe, and it's revealing the truth, a higher truth. Maybe I don't know if she does, but in a way she does. What's it called? She's like I forgot the name, but in a way she does make things feelable that others can't make feelable, because it's also her perspective the film kind of breathes. That's why she's revealing the truth.
All right, some mysteries will remain, but that's part of the beauty of The Girl and the Spider.